go inside now.
We shall all be free someday.
Nobody allowed inside here today, sir.
But I have an appointment with the secretary.
Any identification, sir?
Yes, rather.
Oh. Dear Thomas, let this gentleman through.
We shall all be free someday.
Them nuclear disarmament blokes. They've been sitting here since 10 o'clock. We just got orders to remove them from the premises.
Been any trouble?
That lot? Nah. All they do is sing some kind of hymn about peace on earth. It don't bother nobody. Look at that now. They're all bleeding for their fellow man. Got no consideration for the constables, got to carry them bodily from the premises. That bloke there must weigh 18 stone if he weighs an ounce.
We shall find the bomb someday. We shall overcome.
Yes, idealists are generally inconsistent.
Yes, sir. Well, you go right through. They won't bite you.
Let's hope not.
Yes? Oh, Painter, come over here, will you? You seen them?
Yes, sir. I was hard put to avoid treading on them coming in.
It's an infernal nuisance.
Oh, they're being cleared away now.
No, it's not as easy as that. You see that old chap wearing that comforter? And past the young girl with the long black hair. That's Lord Kemble.
Robert Boyle Kemble, the biologist?
Yes. He won a Nobel Prize in 1934. Now look at him. Last year, on his 71st birthday, he led a protest walk to the Polaris submarine base in Scotland. And then some idiotic local policeman had him charged. It was a howling success from his point of view. Made all the papers. But we don't intend to give him that chance again. He can sit out there as long as he pleases. I've even arranged for tea to be sent to him at 11.
But there is something else, isn't there, sir? I mean, they don't send someone from my branch for political demonstrations.
You mean you haven't read it?
Read what, sir?
It's right there in your pocket.
Oh, just the usual ban the bomb rubbish, isn't it?
Well, that's what we thought until one of us took the trouble to read it.
Danger, official secret.
Well, go on, read it.
Your government has decided that it can happen here, and they've built themselves a bunker to hide in when it does. Good heavens.
It's a full description of a secret bomb shelter that's been built just outside the London blast area, with a list of the people who've been chosen to use it in the event of war. They even give them map coordinates and the local landmarks as a guide to future tourists.
Where on earth did they get all this stuff from?
That's for you to find out. Now, this is a full security leak, a violation of the Official Secrets Act. I want you to find out who's given it to them before they print the Prime Minister's private diary and hand it round Trafalgar Square.
Dreadful thought.
Take a look at that list of names. They're said to be the top people who are going to use the shelter in an emergency.
Oh, I see I'm not on it.
Neither am I.
Oh, it's deep in my heart. I do believe we shall live in peace someday.
Robert Boyle Kemble,
Yes. I remember objecting when his name first turned up on the honours list. Of course, we were out of office at the time, so there's nothing one could do about it.
I saw his picture in the paper this morning. At 72, you know, Bob Kendall's figure's as trim as it was at 50.
Gets his exercise on these crack-brained disarmament marches. I suppose you think I should give up my cabinet post and trot along after him. Good for the liver and circulation, huh?
I think you ought to get away from the ministry. You haven't had a weekend since... When was the last international crisis but one? I lose track of them.
Well, as long as I don't. Eh, my dear?
Oh, yes, of course. Well, I'll leave you gentlemen to your coffee. Oh.
Well, we could, of course, prosecute the actual distributors of the handbill. Violation of the Official Secrets Act. Violation of the Official Secrets Act. But in the opinion of our In the opinion of our top men, this would be premature.
Yes, we can't allow this to go on, you know. In a way, it's a lot worse than if the information had been leaked to a bona fide Russian spy ring.
I don't follow you, sir.
At least they're professionals. The Russians. You expect to lose a certain number of wickets to them. But there's something ridiculous in a covey of pacifists getting access to military secrets and then handing them out to passers-by on the street.
Yes, sir.
And to be made ridiculous can be quite deadly in politics. We've had serious queries from Washington already. The Americans take a poor view of this sort of thing.
I understand so, sir.
So does our loyal opposition. I don't relish the thought of standing up in the House with some backbencher asking me a lot of embarrassing questions about how top-secret information got into this grimy handbill.
Exactly, sir. That's why we brought in Mr. Painter.
Yes. If you were on that Kuwait operation, I believe.
Yes, sir. I've been in the Middle East for some years.
Yes, I'm told you've got a good record with the Arabs. Very young, aren't you?
Yes, sir, I am.
Exactly, sir. That's why we thought he was particularly suitable for this task.
Yes. What do you propose to do, young man?
Well, I propose to join the disarmament movement and insinuate myself into its innermost circles.
And how will you do that?
Get your official secrets here!
Why don't you leave her alone?
You of it, nobody asked you to interfere.
But she wasn't doing anything.
Now mind your own business, sir. It's got nothing to do with you.
I said leave her alone!
Look, now you're interfering with a police officer in the performance of his duty.
Anything wrong?
Oh, they're ladders, and I only put them on this morning.
Oh, well, are you all right? I mean, you're not hurt.
I suppose I should introduce myself. I'm Jerry Painter. You're not being very friendly, you know.
Should I be? Do you think you've been some sort of gallant, dashing hero by hitting that policeman?
Well, I don't quite see why you're so angry with me.
Don't you?
No.
The whole idea is to demonstrate for a peaceful, non-violent solution to the world's problems. And you have to go and punch a policeman.
Well, I'm sorry.
Don't even talk to me.
I was just trying to help, that's all. I'm not very keen on being blown up either.
Will you leave me alone?
Look, suppose I explain to the magistrates. Perhaps I can get you off.
Don't you dare. You've done quite enough as it is.
Bothering you, Sheila?
Well, why don't you just sit back and enjoy the ride?
Yes, I'm just trying to explain. Oh. Now, look here, sir.
I am a follower of Gandhi in international affairs only. In my private life, I'm as violent as the next man. Now, will you kindly leave the young lady to herself?
Look, will you go away and stop following me?
Food's over there, look.
Yes, I can see that.
Come on.
No, I don't want any.
Come on. There we are. Tray.
I said no.
2 teas, please. And, bun. 2 buns, please. Thank you. On. How much is that, please?
You had absolutely no right to bail me out.
Oh, never mind about that. We couldn't have you spending the night in the cells, could we?
But that was the whole point. We've decided as a form of protest not to ask for bail.
Do you mean you actually intended going to jail? Look, I'm terribly sorry. I know. Directly we finish this tea, we'll go outside and sit in front of an oncoming bus and get ourselves arrested all over again.
I suppose it does seem ridiculous, going out and getting yourself arrested and rowing out and climbing on American submarines. But...
Well, maybe futile.
I mean, the submarines still keep coming and the nuclear bombers still circle overhead, no matter how many girls sit on the ground.
I know, but... Well, you've got to try and do something. You've got to tell the people what their governments are planning to do to them.
I suppose you could look at it that way.
Only people do keep confusing us with vegetarians or nudists or communists. It's all very discouraging. Johnny said we need official recognition.
Who's Johnny?
Oh, he works for the Gadfly Club. That's where I work. There are 4 of us who do the whole show.
You're an actress?
Of a sort.
Hmm.
What do you do?
I write.
Poetry.
Of a sort.
Are you really interested in nuclear disarmament?
Well, I don't think I'm quite ready to march on Parliament yet, but I don't mind licking stamps or turning your duplicating machine.
All right. Look, in a couple of weeks we'll be putting out a new leaflet. And if you're still interested, you can help us fold it.
They're going to distribute it tomorrow at football matches and dog tracks.
Is your home a sitting duck?
Seems to be a list of decoy missile sites.
Seems to be. That's precisely what it is. Where the devil did they get hold of it?
Well, the one cheerful thing is they are only decoy sites. I mean, they're not the real thing.
But can't you see the propaganda value of this to the disarmament people? Can't you imagine the outcry there'll be from the householders who live in these areas? It's bad enough being in the danger zone when there's a genuine military target. But people will tend to resent the possibility of being obliterated just because we've built a plaster and plywood sham next to where they live.
Yes, of course.
I suppose they're all communists.
I don't think so.
Well, what then? Beatniks, dupes, anarchists, perverts, theatre people?
A lot of them come from universities.
Painter, you aren't being taken in by them.
I hope so, sir. I mean, wasn't that the intention?
Who cares? And for why? There's a big gray mushroom in the sky. Why cry? Who cares? So what? And why fret? They've a bomb-proof shelter for the cabinet, you bet. So who cares? There are nuclear aircraft up in the sky, all laden with nuclear freight. There are nuclear submarines under the sea, and we're in between. And it's great, but who cares? And for why? In your cozy home you're quite secure, with your lawn, your trees, and furthermore, a missile site at your own back door. But so what, and why not, and okay, and hooray, and who cares?
Jerry, come in. Sit down. I won't be long.
Hey, I thought you were marvellous. Especially that bit about the missile sites at your own back door.
Johnny wrote that. Isn't he clever?
Yes. I say, are you sure it's all right for me to come tonight?
Yes, why not?
Well, I thought it was a general committee meeting. Only committee members would be allowed to go.
Well, I know, but, well, I want them to meet you.
Who are they?
Oh, just a sec. I can't hear the tap's on. Now, what did you say?
Who'll be at the meeting?
Reverend Don Haley, Kenny, what's his name, from the London University. Well, you don't know them anyway.
I suppose not. Who's in charge?
Well, the old boy himself.
Who?
Lord Campbell.
Ah. Is he the head?
Of what?
The disarmament movement.
There isn't any head.
Who makes the decisions, then?
Oh, we're very democratic. Everybody just argues and argues. You should hear those boys from the London University talking about existential philosophy. Eventually something settled, I think, by sheer fatigue.
Doesn't sound very efficient.
We're not.
Still, somebody must be. I mean, all that stuff about bomb shelters and missile sites in the leaflets, that's pretty efficient.
Yeah, I suppose it is.
Wonder where it all comes from.
Who knows? Who knows?
How did you get into it? I mean, were your parents sort of strong on politics?
No. Matter of fact, my dad didn't know much about anything much. Except the football pools and... well, neither did my mother. I don't remember too much about them.
Oh.
We got through the Blitz all right. Only my dad didn't believe in separating the family, you see, and so he wouldn't let Bert and I be evacuated. It was a V2. They were the first of the missiles, really, weren't they? You couldn't hear them coming. And I was blown into the mews and pinned under some wood. Oh, but I had a fine view.
Look, I didn't mean to.
That's all right. It's many years ago now, isn't it? I watched the house burn down. I actually fell asleep listening to the roaring of the flames, burning everything. Well, I'm almost ready now.
I'm so sorry.
A civil defence man dug me out in the morning and they put the fire out. Bert wasn't quite 2 years old and he'd slept in the front room with my mum and dad.
Are you sure you're all right?
What now? Oh, yes. I cope. I was sent to a children's hospital on Hampstead Heath, you know, the one Anna Floyd was in charge of. I was a terror. I used to go around thinking everything was on fire. And I used to beg and scream and cry and beg for someone to put out that fire. Oh, but it's much worse now, you know. That was just a delusion. It's all coming true. The flames and the fires and the screams and everything collapsing around you and the smoke and the heat from the blast that leaves your face as if it's been... Well, somebody's got to put out those fires, even if they say it's foolish and futile. Somebody's got to put out those fires.
Yes, I think I can understand that, wanting to do something.
You've been very kind, Jerry. Just because I get so emotional, you mustn't think that half the movement's round the bend.
I don't. I take it very seriously.
Then you wait till you meet Lord Kemble. He is the sanest man I've ever met.
Well, apparently the government is rather cross with us for our recent revelations. They guard their little secrets like schoolboys guarding packets of candy. They're embarrassed when we inform the public of their pathetic attempts to provide themselves with a hiding place against their own destructive weapons. My dear friends, their methods of ensuring survival are as outdated as the unfortunate dinosaurs. Now, those creatures had the same ferocity as governments, the same illusory strength, and were covered with the thickest armament and protective shell. Nevertheless, they're gone from the world. Now, at the end of their days, there was a tiny, furry little creature that ran through the woods, frightened of everything. We are descendants of that little mammal. It is scientifically true that the meek shall inherit the earth in time, if the strong leave any earth at all to be inherited.
I'm glad to hear that science confirms the truth of the Sermon on the Mount.
It does, Don, it does.
Well, if you think we're all ready for another major effort, I'd like to suggest the 17th, when the Foreign Ministers' Conference meets in Geneva. I think we should sit down outside the American and the Russian embassies as well as in Whitehall. We ought to be able to get several thousand sitters, even at short notice. Now, what I'd like to ask Lord Kemble is whether or not we can expect another tidbit from the so-called secret files. These things certainly help to jazz up the message.
Yes, as a matter of fact, I do have something. An appalling little item. I'm told the source is unimpeachable, so I'll pass it on to you. Apparently, a bombing plane with a nuclear bomb on board crashed last Tuesday over northern England. Naturally, it didn't go off, or it wouldn't be much of a secret. The crew parachuted safely, but the plane and the fissionable material was spread out over several acres of pasture. Somewhere in Northumbria, there is a herd of Guernsey cows barred from their favorite pasture because of intense radioactive contamination.
But will this help us, sir? I mean, doesn't it prove that the danger was only slight? I mean, it didn't go off, did it?
But it might have. And if these things continue to circle over England, there's always the chance that one will.
Are we sure of our facts, sir? I mean, whoever gave us this information...
Well, I have here the name of the farm and of the farmer. And for that matter, of several of the cows.
Lower Gitting Farm, Harold Leversham, manager. Where in the name of all that's holy did they get this information?
Well, could they have found out in some legitimate way?
No, we had the whole thing properly bottled up. I doubt if even the farmer knew exactly what all the flap was about. That Kemble. If I thought I could, I'd have him certified. He always was an odd bird. He was my son's tutor at university. Did you know that?
No, sir.
Oh, yes, filled him full of philosophical rubbish. The boy nearly became a conscientious objector as a result. When he joined the RAF, I'm sure it must have put Kemble's nose thoroughly out of joint, but he came all the way down from Edinburgh for the funeral. When Philip was shot down. No hope of stopping this, is there?
I'm afraid there are too many people in on it. They're going to distribute it on the 17th, right outside the ministry, among other places.
Oh, well, we shall just have to decide whether to own up or lie like gentlemen.
Which would you recommend?
Look here, Painter. Are you going to find out where these leaks are coming from or not?
Well, that's what I'm trying to do, sir.
Well, you haven't been notably successful, have you?
I have one suggestion, sir.
Well?
Suppose we plant some information the disarmament movement would jump at. For instance, estimates of civilian casualties in a nuclear attack. Now, that's the kind of thing they'd give their right arms for. And suppose you're the only person who knows the correct figure. Now, you issue copies to all departments, but you change the last few numbers in each case. Now then, if there's a leak, we can trace it to the one particular department.
Could we manage that, Grimsmith?
Oh, yes, sir, yes. I can have the final result sealed as it comes out of the computer and delivered to your office by hand.
Now, send it here to the house. I suppose even my own personal staff isn't above suspicion.
Very well, Minister.
I've already offered to resign, but they won't let me. Apparently, if I'm disgraced, the rest of the government goes down too, so I haven't even that luxury to look forward to.
Well, so far, we've had Lord Campbell very closely watched, and we've established there's been absolutely no contact with the ministry or with any other government department. I can't believe that this operation has been carried out on an amateur basis.
I haven't come across any professional agent. If I did, it might be easy.
Who cares? And what more? Once the world was ruled by the dinosaur, he's dead. Enough said. So what? And why shout? Just fall about at the old fallout without. For who cares? Why give an atom for things like the bomb? We've got it, we keep it, that's flat. And if they press the button, we press the button. An eye for an eye. And that's that. But who cares? And for why? For tomorrow isn't our affair. So today we'll live to grab our share of those castles in the polluted air. But so what, and why not, and okay, and hooray, and who cares?
Oh, Miss Hare! Miss Hare! Oh, very good, very good. Oh, you're a great artist. This song is very good propaganda for Vanderboom.
Oh, thank you. Look, I've been trying to telephone you, but I didn't know your number. Will you come and sit down with us outside the French embassy next Sunday?
Oh, I would love to. Oh, and speaking of sitting down, would you?
Oh, yes, thank you.
Oh, you have a beautiful club here.
Thank you.
Tell me, Miss O'Hare, who will be at this sit-down demonstration on Sunday?
Well, I think everybody that's anybody will be there.
Oh, well, then I come too.
Tell me, do they have sit-downs in Western Germany too?
Oh, yes. We in Germany, we've experienced enough of war to realize that armaments are no protection.
You know, it's wonderful to realize that there are people all over the world who feel just the same way.
Oh, yes, I agree.
Jerry! This is Mr. Husknecht, is it? Oh, well, he's one of our keenest supporters, and I don't think you've met him yet.
Please don't get up.
How do you do, sir?
How do you do, Mr. Don't think I quite caught the name.
Willie Husknecht.
I have to go and change. Will you be here when I get back?
Oh, I expect so. Been a long time, huh?
Tehran.
Ah, yeah. Tehran. You were supposed to be a public relation officer with an oil company. I was a commercial traveler with Swiss chocolate. You knew as much about oil as I knew about Swiss chocolate. Listen, as one professional to another, how much did you pay that military attaché for the secret cable from Cairo?
Oh, £200.
That's why I couldn't get it. I only offered 150. That's the advantage of a big organization over the, what do you call it?
Freelance.
Freelance. It's like in any other business. Big fellow squeezes out the little man. Between you and me, I should have stayed in my father's harness business.
You're not in your father's harness business now, huh?
Neither are you, huh? In the harness business.
It seems we're both in the disarmament business.
Yeah, it seems we are.
So, how's business?
I don't understand.
Top secret documents were always your line of trade, weren't they?
Well, if you put it that way, why should I lie to you?
I thought this job was done by a professional.
What job?
The bomb leaflets, the secret information used in them.
You think I did that?
Didn't you?
Listen, if I have my hands on documents like this worth thousands, do you think I would give them away to be printed up on little bits of papers to be handed out in the streets? What kind of business is this to give away for nothing?
I take it you're being paid to cause as much embarrassment as possible to the British government.
Oh, my friend, you read too many spy stories. I'm here for the same reason as you are.
Oh?
Sure, I know good merchandise when I see one. You really want to know where they come from?
Yes.
So do I.
You expect me to believe that?
What do you mean? Listen, I make a deal with you. You're no good here if they know who you are. You never saw me, and I wouldn't remember you either.
Look, it's too crowded in here. Let's talk outside where there are less people.
Oh, sure. Where we go?
We can talk in my car. It's just in the park there.
What is this? You're making a mistaken identity. Pointer, you damn it, Josh! This is not fair play!
We will return to espionage after station identification.
You what? Oh, I see. Yes, all right. Right. Well, we've got your man safely behind bars.
Excellent, sir. The moment I clapped eyes on him wearing that disarmament badge, I knew my search was over. I thought I acted rather quickly, sir, if I may say so.
Why the luggage?
Well, now the case is closed, I thought a little weekend in the south of France before the next assignment.
You better unpack.
I beg your pardon, sir?
The case isn't closed. Husknecht isn't the man we're looking for. He came over here from Copenhagen last week. He's been on the continent for the past 6 months, since last April.
I don't think I quite understand, sir.
He wasn't here when the secret information leaked to the disarmament people.
Are you sure?
I've been on to our Paris office now, men in Bonn. They've had their eyes on him. They know exactly where he was during the past 6 months.
And where was it?
What does it matter? He wasn't here.
No. I see. Goodbye, Saint-Tropez.
Any new ideas, Painter?
Well, I must admit, sir, that's a bit of a blow. What about those estimates of nuclear casualties we planted in the various departments?
We're waiting for someone in one of the departments to take the bait.
I hope they do.
So do I, Painter. I had a very trying interview with the minister this morning. He was quite short with me. I've been instructed to draw up plans to act against any of the disarmers, even distributing the information.
But they're not the ones we want, sir. They're small fish.
I know. But if we can't stop the leak, well, then we'll have to proceed against anyone we can lay our hands on.
Oh, but look here, Mr. Grimsmith. I know these people. I'm quite close to some of them. And, of course, they're wrong.
But they're sincere. My dear Painter, you know as well as I do that they're the worst. Cold-blooded professionals. Like your friend, what's this, his name is Husknecht? Well, they're rare in espionage nowadays. It's the casuals that we've got to worry about. The homosexuals and the playboys subject to blackmail. And above all, the sincere ones. No motive to betray their country except sheer sincerity.
Yes, sir.
Oh, well. If we can't trace the source of the information in the next few days, we'll just have to pick up the whole lot. Conspiracy to violate the Official Secrets Act can draw up to 10 years penal servitude.
For women, too?
Well, why not?
Come in, Jerry. I've been waiting for you.
Oh, am I early? Where's the meeting?
Lord Kemble will be down in a few minutes.
Oh, good. I'm glad of the chance of talking to you alone. I tried ringing you all day. You've been out.
What exactly did you want to say to me, Jerry?
That new leaflet about the nuclear bomber that crashed, I don't want you to help distribute it.
Why not?
Because it's an official secret.
That's the whole idea of it, isn't it?
Yes, I know. But they're going to slap long-term prison sentences on anyone who's caught with it.
What's the matter with that?
I don't think you should grow up in a prison, that's all. It would be a waste. You're too pretty.
Thank you, kind sir. You're very good at it.
Hmm?
Or is this part of the training they give you at police school, under the heading, Getting Your Enemy's Confidence by Lies and Flattery?
What?
You're some kind of detective, aren't you? You had that German pacifist arrested. I saw the whole thing.
He wasn't a pacifist. He was a professional spy. He specializes in stealing secret documents for money.
What's your speciality, Mr. Painter? Stealing people's trust and confidence.
Now, listen, Sheila, I had absolutely no intention of hurting you, or Lord Kemble, or any of the others. On the contrary, I've come here this evening to warn you of the risk you're running.
Mr. Painter, your warning has been duly noted, and your solicitude does you credit. But it seems to me you know very little about the disarmament movement. Oh, I dare say you think, like so many others, that we're an immature bunch playing at politics as a change from going to the cinema. Well, I've got news for you, Mr. Detective, or whatever you are. Some of us may be young, but we're old enough to vote, and we would vote, too, if we could find some candidates who would give us what we wanted. And we're not asking for so very much. All we want is a future world to make something decent out of, something that looks like our dreams, our ideas, not a radioactive wilderness with a lot of dying politicians muttering, "I'm sorry." So you see, a few years in jail doesn't seem too high a price to pay if it's going to help us get what we want.
She's right, you know, Mr. Painter.
Lord Kemble, I appeal to you. It's totally indiscreet of me to reveal myself in this way. I suppose I'll lose my job because of it. But it'll be worth it if I can persuade you not to publish any more official secrets. The authorities are determined to stop you this time.
I think you heard the young lady's answer to that.
I heard her answer, yes, and I respect it, too.
Well, none of us are afraid of going to jail. In fact, we've all been there from time to time.
For up to 10 years.
I think we could face that possibility.
Perhaps you could, sir. You're over 70. With great respect, Lord Kemble, can you answer for someone who's barely more than 20? You are a great man, sir, and therefore your words carry weight. Your intellect is respected all over the world. Where you lead, others follow. Well, all I ask you, sir, is this. Are you prepared to lead them into jail for 10 years? A sentence you may never live to finish, but that they will. That's all I have to say, sir.
How old are you, my dear?
23.
Come in, Grimsmith, come in.
Good evening, sir.
Good of you to look in on your way home. I asked you to do so because I was anxious to have your progress report on this security leak business.
My report, sir?
Yes, that's what I said.
Well, sir, we are prepared to make a number of arrests, should the occasion arise.
Well, yes, of course, I know about that.
Oh, well, I just thought you might be interested to know that the Metropolitan Police have been alerted in order that we can...
Very good, Grimsmith. I'm delighted to hear it. And if there is further security leak, there will be masses of arrests, but it's one particular arrest that I'm anxious to hear about.
Which one is that, sir?
Oh, the culprit. The traitor who's passing on these secrets. How near are you to discovering his identity?
Well, I would say, sir, that we're getting warm.
Glad to hear that. Is the young man Painter cracking the case for you?
Well, that's just it, sir.
I don't really know.
What do you mean?
Well, I don't know whether he's making progress or not.
You don't know? But aren't you able to evaluate his reports?
Well, there aren't any reports. The fact is he's disappeared. We haven't heard from him for several days.
You gave him this assignment, didn't you?
Well, he was recommended to me.
Yes, but you accepted the recommendation.
But at the time, I had no reason to believe that there was any question.
Hello? Yes, Langridge? Who? Yes, he's here with me. Indeed, yes. Yes, at once. Well, your young man isn't in Moscow. He's downstairs asking for you. Perhaps you should have a little more confidence in your staff, Grimsmith.
Yes, sir. Oh, I'm very sorry to disturb you, sir. I heard Mr. Grimsmith was here, and I felt he should be informed. Where have you been? What have you been doing these past 2 days? I've been thinking, sir. Thinking, huh? Well, that's a good sign. And what have you been thinking about? I suppose you've got something to tell us? Yes, sir. I've decided to hand in my resignation. What are you talking about? I've come to the conclusion that I ought to resign my post. How dare you, Painter? How dare you march in here and make an adolescent dramatic announcement like that? Hand in your resignation. Grimsmith. Do you realize where you are? Grimsmith. If you fail to carry out your job, we can appoint somebody else who'll be perfectly capable of doing... Yes?
Bluster is not an effective method of communication.
Yes, sir.
Why do you wish to resign, Mr. Painter?
I feel I'm no longer suitable for the task allotted me, sir.
Why is that?
I'm too involved, sir.
You mean to say that you've become converted to the cause of unilateral disarmament?
Oh, no, not in that way, sir. I don't mean involved in that way, no.
Well, in what way?
I mean, emotionally.
I'm still in the dark.
Well, I begin to see that the other side has a point of view, and that always makes life a bit difficult. What point of view do you begin to see? Well, sort of dinosaurs. Dinosaurs?
You know what he's talking about?
No, sir. I certainly do not.
I beg your pardon, sir.
Here? This minute?
Yes, sir.
How astounding. Show him in.
Now, sir.
Certainly.
I think I know how to discipline this young man. We've taken up enough of your time, sir, if you'll excuse us.
No, I'd like you both to stay. We have an unexpected visitor. In fact, my house is becoming like Piccadilly Circus this evening.
Lord Kemble, sir.
Oh, forgive me if I'm interrupting a conference. I'd be happy to wait.
Not at all, Robert.
Ah, Mr. Painter, we've met. How are you? And this is,
Mr. Grimsmith, Senior Secretary of the Ministry.
How do you do, Mr. Grimsmith? Hey, you look much ruddier in the newspapers. But I see you've really acquired that famous parliamentary pallor. Too many late-night sittings, I suppose, in these turbulent times.
Well, perhaps we should all sit down.
Thank you, Harry.
Mr. Painter?
Sitting seems to be my customary posture these days. I don't intend to keep you for very long. It's a matter of some urgency, or I wouldn't have troubled you personally. Now, I believe my friends and I have caused you some considerable embarrassment by our recent activities.
I wouldn't put it as strongly as that.
Yes, but I understand you intend to arrest a number of my associates.
Certainly. If there are any further violations of the Official Secrets Act.
Now, that is what I've come to talk to you about. I wish to make a full confession.
To what?
To the theft of another of your nasty little secrets and its distribution to the public tomorrow.
Tomorrow?
Yes. We've published another of our leaflets, and it'll be on the streets tomorrow. Now, I don't wish to see a lot of young people incarcerated because of a crime which I have committed. So I've come to make a deal with you. Now, if you will guarantee that no one else is charged, I will let you use me as an example. You can lock me up for as long as you like. The truth is, I'm getting much too old to be sitting down outside embassies in all sorts of weathers. And what with the winter coming on...
If I may interrupt for one moment, may I ask Lord Kemble, what is this so-called nasty little secret to which he refers?
Yes, of course. I have the leaflet here. Even I was shocked by it, Harry. I believe it's what you call mega-kills. Your estimate of the number of innocent people who will perish in a nuclear attack. It makes the Black Death in the 13th century look like a mild attack of hay fever.
Robert, The government of this country cannot afford to live in the dreamlike world that you idealists seem to occupy. We have the responsibility of protecting our citizens from the very real dangers that confront us. It would be very nice to pretend those dangers aren't there. You cannot have unilateral disarmament. You're playing into the other fellow's hands. They're not disarming. It would be national suicide.
Now, look here,
May
Harry.
I see the leaflet, sir? Have I your permission to check these figures with the official lists?
Yes. Yes, Grimsmith.
Come along, Painter.
I tried to prevent its publication, but I was democratically overruled by a majority of the movement.
Where did you get this information?
I'm afraid I cannot tell you that.
Do you know yourself?
I didn't until this morning. I know now.
And will you tell us the name of the person?
That is impossible.
You realize that whoever it was has committed treason?
I realize that you would look at it in that way, yes.
And you will not disclose his name?
No, I will not.
Very well, Robert. My course is clear. I shall not put you on trial and give you the Old Bailey as a lecture platform. On the other hand, I shall make sure that the police are relentless in taking into custody all those who endeavor to pass this information on to the public tomorrow. I expect the courts will impose the maximum penalty in each case, up to 10 years penal servitude, I believe.
No, oh no.
I'm grateful for the advance warning. I shall notify the prison authorities to be prepared for an influx. Crime rate falls off this summery weather, so there should be plenty of vacant cells.
No, that is not what I had in mind at all.
Minister?
Yes, Grimsmith.
There's something very odd here. This figure of estimated civilian casualties on the leaflet, it doesn't tally with any of the figures we gave to the various departments. It's an entirely different figure that they've got hold of.
Are you sure?
Well, we've checked it several times.
Look at this. The last three numbers. 710. They've got the original. The correct figure. This hasn't been out of my possession.
Servants?
Most unlikely. Nobody comes into this room in the normal course.
I beg your pardon. I thought you might like a little something. No, please don't get up.
Sarah, we're rather busy.
I know, but tea's always welcome, isn't it? Good evening, Robert.
Thank you, my dear. Very thoughtful of you, but not just now, if you don't mind.
Your people won't go to prison. Have no fear of that.
Sarah, I really must just ask you to leave the tea, and...
Darling, please don't interrupt me. You know how it confuses me, and then I have to begin all over
yes,
again.
But this is something rather important that we're discussing.
I know.
And...
I listened outside the door.
What?
You see, Robert can't tell you where his movement got the information because it came from me. Did you know that, Robert?
Not until this morning, Sarah.
I thought I'd been very discreet. How did you find out?
Well, someone eventually recognized your voice on the telephone.
Oh. I'm sorry it's over. I think I got quite a thrill out of it all. Very cloak and dagger stuff.
Sarah, what are you saying?
But when you used to work in here at night and I used to come in and bring your cocoa, you'd go for a wash and then it was perfectly easy for me to copy out anything I wanted. You will read in there and stay so long.
I can't believe it.
Oh, it's perfectly true. There was a missile site list, the plane crash in Northumbria, the nuclear casualty estimates.
But I don't see why. Sarah, why?
I think it was because of our boy Philip, mostly. I know you were very upset when he was shot down, but I suppose I've had more time to think about it. You've been so very busy during these years, and Robert was so kind, and he was so fond of Philip, and he told me he was one of his most promising students.
I don't believe you could do a thing like this.
But just because I love you so dearly, it doesn't follow that I have to believe in your policies, Harry. I read in the Times about Robert's articles and what he'd written, and I came to the conclusion that he was right. So I felt I had to help in a practical way. Well, there's nothing more to say, is there? Well, do have your tea while it's hot, will you?
I'm sorry, Harry. You see why I couldn't tell you.
Can't believe it.
Minister?
Hmm?
What do we do?
What can we do? My own wife. If this gets out, there's no telling what might happen. They can't afford to let me resign. I can't do anything. I haven't even the choice of exposing my own stupidity.
But what about Lord Campbell? He knows.
I don't think Lord Campbell would wish to involve the lady.
No. This is one official secret I shall be glad to let you keep. Now, Harry, you mustn't give way. We've all done what we felt we must, and we must all go on doing so, and pray at least that one of us is right. Well, goodbye, Harry. Mr. Grimdish, Mr. Painter.
Well, at least there's one happy note. We did stop the leak.
Oh, what do you want?
Can you meet me after the magistrates?
Go away.
1 o'clock at the Nag's Head. Now then, sir, leave the young lady alone. She's in trouble enough. Look, Lord Campbell says you should.
Did he really?
He said it was desirable for the survival of the species.
Okay, see you at 1 o'clock. Unless I'm in jail.
All right.
In a moment, scenes from our next espionage show.